Hello, this is Samantha Owens. I'm facilitating Chapter 26, which goes over Artistic Giftedness. This article is by Winter and Martino. So an overview, the article argues the point that artistically talented children deserve to be labeled as gifted. We'll be going over the characteristics of children gifted in visual arts, origins of artistic gifts, and also the relationship between childhood giftedness and adult eminence. So artistically gifted children are very similar to academically gifted children in three respects. They're precocious, they have a rage to master, meaning that they've got a drive and a passion to do their best in whatever artistic domain that they've chosen. They also march to their own drummer. We'll be talking a lot about Milbrath. She did a 1998 study of 8 artistically gifted children and determined that children are guided by figurative rather than operational processes. Artistically gifted children also see the world differently. They encode visual information more accurately. They have superior visual memory, so that's that photographic memory. They see something, they can remember it and recall it and put that visual onto paper. They also attend more to the act of drawing itself, so they see when something doesn't look right and correct it. Their drawings also appear extremely realistic due to the artistically gifted child's ability to represent images as they appear in real life, distortions and all. So that goes back to the photographic memory and the way that their brain processes what they see and the way they remember it. They're also able to draw representationally well before the average child can. Milbrath discovered that a clear sign of artistic ability as a young toddler was the ability to use a line to represent the edge around an object instead of a line representing a thing. So that when a child is just scribbling and the line is like, that's, a cat, whereas a more advanced artistically gifted child would draw using a line, the outline of a cat's head, the shape of it, and say that this is a cat. So a big difference in the way that they represent an object through drawing. Artistically gifted children also add true-to-life details on pictures that most children overlook. So maybe they're drawing a car, and you can see they add the door handles, the gas cap, add details to the wheels, put on the windshield wipers. They also begin to represent volume and depth. They draw quickly and with ease. Their lines are sure and confident. There's less erasing. They know what they're going to draw. They know how to do it. They see that vision. They also demonstrate an ability to draw proportionally, and Milbrath observed this as happening between the ages of 4 and 10 in her artistically gifted students. So in drawing a person, the head is proportional with the torso and the limbs. She also saw in non-gifted children that they still hadn't grasped the concept of proportions even by the age of 14. She also goes on to talk about how artistically gifted children often depict people in unusual positions, such as three-quarter views, profiles, or back views. They like to challenge themselves, and we'll talk about that in a couple slides. So let's look at one particular artistically gifted child. In 1992, Gollum described an Israeli boy named Aiton who displayed incredible artistic ability at an early age. At 2 years old, when the average child is just scribbling, Aiton's drawings were recognizable: cars, people, animals. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she's definitely still in the scribbling stage, so that to me is pretty impressive. Aiton achieved realism in his artwork by depicting details, depth, volume. He could draw 3-dimensional pictures at age 2.5. At age 4, he demonstrated an understanding that objects recede into the background, and objects in the foreground of the picture will appear bigger than those off in the distance, which is an incredible concept for a 4-year-old to understand. While artistically gifted children can draw from many viewpoints, their drawings often depict multiple viewpoints, and a lot of times they do not create artwork with one point of view until adolescence. So say they're drawing a box, like a cube. So regularly you might see the top of it, the front of it, and maybe one side. They might draw the top and the bottom and all sides, almost like the box has been unfolded. It's because they're drawing the same box, but from multiple viewpoints. Drawing realistically in childhood is a good indicator that the child will become an established adult artist. It's not all that they need, but it's a good indicator. Picasso is an example. He was a very um, good artist as a child, as you can imagine. So drawing realistically is actually culturally determined a lot of times. There's a good quote in the article from Winter and Martino that says, "What unites all children with artistic gifts is thus not the ability or proclivity to draw realistically, but rather the ability to master one or more of the culture's norms of artistry at a very early age." So let's take a look at artistic giftedness in China. Chinese children are instructed how to draw at a young age. They learn from copying their teacher, looking in books. They're given explicit instructions on how to draw, something that American children aren't necessarily taught. We sort of give young children just free rein to learn to draw however they want. Because of this training, though, their drawings look far more advanced than American students of the same age. So the authors of this article say that an American might look at this Chinese artwork and think the child was artistically gifted, but it isn't necessarily the case since it's part of their schooling in China to learn to draw in this way. So the ordinary person's view of artistic gifts is that they're innate. You're born with them. You can't learn them. A recent anti-innatist position reasons that high achievement is due to motivation, hard work, perspective, and deliberate practice. Winter and Martino believe hard work is necessary to develop any gift. However, hard work isn't always enough. So the authors say we cannot rule out an innate component to artistic giftedness. So it sounds like you need a combination of both. You have a gift, but you don't waste it. You work hard and practice and stay motivated. Milbraith observed a certain characteristic in artistically gifted children in her study. She noticed that gifted artists continually pose challenges for themselves. These children are impelled to draw and solve artistic challenges. One little boy in the article was challenging himself to draw a figure in motion, to capture motion in a 2D drawing. Also, artistically and musically gifted children tend to have very supportive families. However, musically gifted children are definitely more likely to receive formal training to hone their craft. They're more likely for their parents to get them, piano lessons, violin lessons, singing lessons, guitar lessons. You don't see that so much with artistically gifted children. Really, a lot of times all they get is just art class at school. Art class in elementary school through high school is often not enough to challenge artistically gifted students. So it's no surprise that artistically gifted children do most of their distinguished work outside of the realm of public school. Many young artists cite the recognition of their work by a professional artist as being the event that validates their craft. So being recognized in the art world is the moment for them. Not so much what is happening for them at school, but what's happening outside of school. So the relationship between childhood giftedness and adult eminence. Winter and Martino say adolescence is the time when prodigies must make the transition from technical perfection to innovation and big C domain creativity. In order to transition into adult eminence in the art world, Gardner recognized that one must reinvent themselves. Who will make this transition is difficult to predict. I mean, if one's art is good, but it's not innovative, they won't reach eminence. Winter and Martino also go on to say that while high ability is necessary, it is not sufficient. Degree of skill in childhood cannot by itself predict later creative eminence. So it's definitely a combination of different things. The natural ability plus, like Gardner said, the ability to reinvent themselves and be innovative in their craft will more likely lead to adult eminence. There's also very little room for all child prodigies to become eminent adults in the art world. A prodigy doesn't always have what it takes to become eminent in the future. While prodigies have the ability to easily produce art, they're very good at it, they've got the technical skill down, that doesn't mean that they are able to change the art game and create something brand new. Personality can play a role also in becoming a dominant creator or domain creator. Creators are restless, rebellious, and dissatisfied with the status quo, says Simonton and Sulloway. Gardner also offers some theories about prodigies who are able to transition into adult creative geniuses. He believes there needs to be some kind of tension between the artist and their domain, a schism of some sort that will cause the artist to break new ground in the domain and sort of stand out and be recognized for their contributions to the art world. Winter and Martino say the creative artist slash musician takes risks and breaks with conventions. The gifted child or child prodigy does not. So the person who stays at that level, like saying, I was a child prodigy, but didn't go any further, they don't take the risks that eminent adults do. Historical and socioeconomic factors also play a role in determining who becomes eminent. So timing is important in the art world. Sometimes the artist's domain is ready to recognize their talent, and sometimes the domain is too saturated with other artists doing the same kind of work. The culture of the time will also determine how a person's art is received. You might even just be at the mercy of the art critics at the time, just the taste and the flavor of the week, sort of. So culture plays a huge part in how an artist's work is received. So in summary and conclusion, artistically gifted children see the world differently and therefore draw differently. Artistically gifted children pay attention to details, perspective, and depth. What a child prodigy is will vary based on culture, as we saw in comparing Western artistically gifted children and the Chinese. Artistically gifted children challenge themselves. That's how they're going to reach eminence as an adult, by challenging themselves and breaking the mold of their domain. So high achievement in art is not due only to hard work and motivation. And also, only those who can change their domain in a revolutionary way will become eminent adult artists. So my discussion question for this chapter is that Winter and Martino talk about how artistically gifted children often do not get any formal training in their domain growing up. They touch on the subject of art classes in public schools and how they lack the ability to properly challenge the artistically gifted. After reading chapter 26 on artistic giftedness, what are your ideas for meeting the needs of artistically gifted students in your school? How can we help them along the path to eminence? Thank you so much for listening.